every time they draw it, basically call a foul. So I try to be better. Gotta get better.
What did you think of the whistles that went against you in the fourth quarter?
I mean, I don't know. We couldn't play physical, so I don't know. I don't want to say nothing, but 6 foul in the NBA Finals, where basically I'm like this. Come on, man. Better than that.
Vinny Goodwill, first of all, I want to mind my manners first. Say, what's up, Vinny? Good to see you, brother. Look like you are in Dallas, beautiful Dallas, Texas, for one more night. I don't know. There's no red eye. I mean, you can't just get out of there you can't just get out of there after the Dallas Mavericks get swept out of the playoffs tomorrow night.
Greasy talk. Come on.
I tried to tell you. I tried to tell everybody. Try to make people some money. This is what I do. This, not to brag. Sometimes you got to brag about yourself because people aren't paying attention. I am Mr. My Bets, Your Money. I know it's my bets and your money, but I care about your money. I want you to increase your money. I want you to stack it. So I told you before the series started, you got an opportunity to make a lot of money before your summer vacation. I told you the Celtics would sweep the Mavericks. Anyway, we'll get to that in a second. We'll get to that. I want to say hello to Vinny Goodwill, my brother. I want to say that this is Brother from Another, and we are so excited to see you. Thank you for joining us, Sirius XM, Channel 85, YouTube, Peacock TV, wherever you're consuming us, we appreciate it. Now, Vinny, I want a revolution, Vinny. I need a revolution, and you are going to help me start it because you got influence. People listen to you. They do. People respect you. Didn't you get the NBA Finals? Weren't you behind getting the NBA Finals?
The script
cursive
logo back, yeah.
You got it back. You and I know Adonde was it you and Adonde or you by yourself?
Me and Adonde.
You and Adonde brought it back. People listen to you. Now, this is what I need you to do. I need you to start a revolution because of what we've seen from Luka Doncic. Now, Luka Doncic, in the regular season, damn near averaged a triple-double. I think he averaged 34 points a game, 34, 35 points a game, led the league in scoring, 9 boards, 9 assists, and he was a NBA MVP finalist. He didn't win it, but he was a finalist. And I've had people tell me, even some people I'm talking to right now, how great a player he is. And we all focus on the 35 points a game. Damn it, I want a revolution. I want an MVP finalist who averages 17 or 18 points a game. I want an MVP finalist who does everything well, but maybe doesn't score 25. 30, 35. Give me a guy who impacts the game defensively. Give me a guy who makes people better. Give me a guy whose pace is elite. Give me a guy who doesn't turn to his bench and say, call the MF and challenge the MF and play right now when he puts himself in position to do something stupid. And then he blames his coaches and he blames his teammates and he blames the officials. This guy is not one of the 3 best players in the NBA. I don't care what y'all say. I told you he ain't. He is not one of the 3 best players in the league. Stop that. Just because he scores and he takes like 10 hours to process a play, I can't stand watching him. Move the ball, dog. Move the ball around. Anyway, I want you to start the revolution. Give me a different caliber of MVP finalists. Not just somebody who scores. I mean, that's Vinny, you're an advanced basketball mind. Any basic B can look at somebody who scores and say, oh, that guy's good. But that's not all it is. I'm disappointed with Luka. You tell me, what do you see?
Well, I don't like watching the slow pace, but I damn sure don't like watching the team shoot 53s. Okay, let's get that out the way. All right. That's not how I want my NBA to be consumed. If you're taking 82 shots and 46 of them are threes, that doesn't make me feel good. Now to Luka Doncic, you're right. Luka has to grow up. I think last night we saw a lot of immaturity. We saw how far he has to go in terms of recognizing the moment, as far as recognizing how important he is and putting himself in position where you're saying the refs calling calls that they shouldn't call. Maybe they shouldn't. But you put yourself in position to have 4 fouls in very quick order, right? And, hooking Jaylen Brown. And you know what it almost looked like? You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me in a way of Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield. And you're losing the fight.
Which one?
You know what I'm saying? The second one.
Oh,
the second one. Yeah, that one.
Okay,
that one.
all right. That one. That one.
It's like you're losing the fight. So you get desperate. But not desperate in like a determined way. You get desperate in like a get me out of here. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that Luka Doncic was trying to foul out. He wasn't trying to escape. But you lose your wits. You lose your concentration. You lose your poise. And I thought it was fitting last night that we saw the juxtaposition of both franchises or both superstar types of players on each side. Because Kyrie brought it. Kyrie's going through his immature phase. He went through his, you know what I mean? He went through all of that, right? At myriad points of his career, he went through that. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, they've gone through that. They've gone through okay, I'm going to take all the shots and, argue with the refs or dribble the ball off my foot and not treat the game with the appropriate concentration, treat the game with the appropriate approach, right? Going through that. Luka Doncic is going through that right now. And what we are seeing is that you can't skip steps, right? Like we got a good laugh with Karl Towns and Anthony Edwards when a reporter asked them a question about, losing and skipping steps. And they were like, we tired of losing now. A reporter. Good looking reporter, mind you.
Good looking, very good looking. Very good looking reporter, very delusional reporter, though, when it comes to college football. But that's a different story for a different day. Very delusional.
117 to 74. That's all I got to say. 117 to 74. Michigan, Ohio State scored the last 3 years. All right. I'm still waiting on Mr. Day to hang 100 on Michigan. That's all. But that's a story for another day. We don't have to go there. We got a few more months. Michael Holley. We don't have to do that.
All right,
okay?
We do.
But for Luka, for me, it's less about the complaining. It was about the bad defense. The bad defense last night was so terrible because your team is scrambling all over the floor. Boston puts you in places where you are in distress all the time. They're trying to drive and kick. That's all they're trying to do is get to those corner threes. And Luka was basically enabling Boston to play 4-on-5 on defense. And it wasn't just on the plays where he was complaining to the refs and Boston's going down the other end. It's the plays where he's actually in position and he's not guarding for that extra beat. You know what I mean? Like that's that immaturity. That you got to appreciate these moments. You may not be back in the finals ever again, man. Ever again. Right. There's no guarantee that you're going to get back here.
Absolutely not. And
they pissed the game away, man. That frustrates me as a historian of the game. You pissed away an opportunity.
Well, look, and you know this from covering basketball. It's one of the things. I mean, we all like basketball fans. We love the playoffs for different reasons. Some people love the playoffs because they feel like the regular season they're not getting enough. The players are not exhausting themselves in March on a Wednesday night in Charlotte, okay? But they do in the playoffs. That's why some people like the playoffs. But I like the playoffs just from the point of what's real. I just want to strip it down. I want to know what's real, who's real, what's sustainable, what's not, what's a strength, what's a weakness. And so you figure out who the hell you are once you go through the playoffs. And if you're honest about it, if you're honest, you say, look, We lost not because of the officials. We lost not because it was a bad break, or if we play this team 10 times, we'll win 9, but we just happen to lose that game. No, you lose generally in the playoffs because of something that you lack. You lack something, and it's usually not internal. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to disrespect people like that. It's usually like a skill. It's like you don't have that skill, and they took advantage of it. And so with the Dallas Mavericks, I'm going to tell you, Luka and Kyrie is not going to work. That combo won't work because they cannot defend. Now, Kyrie can do better. Kyrie can. And Kyrie last night was making some defensive plays. I got to tell you, he really was giving you effort. And why wouldn't he? Vinny, he's got elite hand-eye coordination. He's elite athletically. He's not as small as you think, NBA fans. Now, out there among the trees, he looks like a little guy, a little water bug darting around. Right. He's 6'3". He's 6'3". Okay, he's got pretty good size and quickness. He should be better defensively, and at times he turns it on like he did last night. He can make some defensive plays. Luka, baby. No. That off-ball linebacker defensive approach, that free safety who just go roam and be in space, nah. It's not going to work. That's why I just didn't understand why anybody would pick that. Take Boston out of it. Take my confessed Boston bias out of it. I got one.
I'm glad you admit that. I'm glad you admit that. I'm glad you get that out.
I got it. My glasses are green. Like, why? Why do you think that is? Anyway, take that out of it. I don't see how anybody could look at the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA Finals and think you're going to win a championship when you don't have a single guy on defense who can just, like a guy who say, I'm going to lock you up, who can do to somebody else what Jaylen Brown has done to Luka. You know what? I got you. No, let me take it. Get up. Oh, no screens coming? Okay, I got him. The Mavericks don't have anybody who can do that. And what Jason Kidd said about Luka is right. You're going to have to do, as the best player, as an MVP, I don't want to hear about any MVPs who can't play defense. If you can't play defense, I'll never vote for you. I don't have a vote anymore anyway. But I will never advocate that anyone vote for you. If you can't play defense, I don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear about you being MVP of the league. I don't care if you
haven't we legislated defense out of the game in a way? I get your point, and I'm largely with you. We have legislated defense. Like, defense is no longer half the game, right?
Okay.
Because of the way because of the way the rules are. Maybe. It's maybe a third. Okay. I get your point, but I'm saying the way that the game is played now, offensive skill and offensive efficiency are numbers 1 and 2 on this thing. You know what I mean? Like, Steph Curry wasn't a great defender by any stretch, but I wouldn't take away his MVPs, either one of them. You know what I mean?
He's better than you. And you know this. He's better than we think.
Yes, absolutely.
Better than,
no. I wasn't saying that. I wasn't saying to say that it's analogous to Luka's, defense or lack thereof. You know what I mean? Like, after a while, Steph started trying at least. You know what I mean? Like, and I think so much of defense is effort. So much of defense is just literally putting your body in front of the guy. And Luka actually had done that in the Western Conference Finals. He had done that against Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards when he was guarded, when he was being guarded by him. You know what I mean? So I will say that I've seen it, but in round 1, no. Round 2 against Oklahoma City, no. Round 3, no. You know what I mean? Like, he's giving up open shots. He's giving up blow-bys. He is constantly putting his defense in a position of scramble, in a position of discomfort. And conversely, when you see Jaylen Brown, Jaylen's looking around like, you want to dance? Let's boogie.
You want to go? Let's do this.
You want to go?
That's right.
Let's go. That's what last night felt like to me. Last night felt like an all-around coronation for your Boston Celtics, right? That Jaylen Brown dunk in the third quarter, that air-sucking dunk over, was it Josh Green and PJ Washington? One like he dunked over Daniel Gafford, but rock with me. It felt like Jaylen Brown said, game over, series over, night. Like you just feel those moments in a playoff series, in a final series. You can go through history and it just feels like not just we're the better team, but we're the better team, and there's nothing you can do about it. Now, luckily for the Mavericks, they came back.
Yeah, and it was a great finish. We were having a watch party as it was going on. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Some of the highlights from the watch party. We had a good time checking this game out. Celtics up by 21, and it looks like, it's a wrap. And the Mavericks came back and made it a one-possession game and had many opportunities and, of course, couldn't close in. Part of the reason they couldn't close in on those opportunities, back to Luka, 4 minutes plus to play, and he decides at the wrong time, I got 5 fouls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jaylen Brown has position on me. I'm going to flop my way in here. I don't know if it's either a flop or just his lack of technique of not being able to establish position quickly enough to get that call, to even make it interesting. Because it really wasn't interesting. It was a block.
Right.
He was in bad position. It shouldn't happen. So the Mavericks lose it. But tell me why the Mavericks lost. If you had to, back in your quick game story days where you got to give me like a take or two, just like a bullet point, why did the Mavericks at home, Kristaps Porzingis out of the game, the Celtics have a 38-year-old starting center in Al Horford. They got Luke Cornett on the bench. They got Xavier Tillman on the bench. Maybe if they go small, O'Shea Brissett. Why did the Mavericks, with their finals lives on the line, why did they lose to the Celtics?
They lost a game of math. Like, I know that sounds silly, but they lost the math equation. When the Celtics take 46 threes, that can lead to that 20-point lead that Boston amassed, and that can also lead to the 20-2 run that Dallas put on immediately after to get that building back rocking. So I say that to say, when you lose math, it just means this. I break it down as simple as this, Michael Holley. If Boston's taking threes and you're taking twos, you can be playing as well as you think you are, and the deficit keeps growing. You know what I mean? Like, you can be reaching all of your objectives, Kyrie getting down the lane, getting his layups, Luka getting down the lane, getting some shots, but you're taking twos and they're taking threes. You look up and a 2-point lead goes, wait a minute, we were just up 2, now we down 10. That's a very deflating thing. And that's why I talked about, basketball sensibilities. I mean, props to Boston. All the driving kicks and everything else and putting the defense in distress and taking threes. Cool, great for you. And on the other end, it puts you in such a position where it challenges you mentally of staying with it. And I think through those critical moments, be it in the first quarter when Dallas had a big lead and by the end of the first quarter it was 31-30, or in the third quarter when, Dallas was up 1 and next thing you know, Dallas is down 10. The moments Dallas is losing in those critical moments where it's not just math adding up. And I know that's not the sexy thing to say.
No, that's
what it feels like.
That makes a lot of sense. You mentioned Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Let's hear from those guys after the game, and then I want to ask Vinny another question.
I thought it was a great team win. That lead dwindled fast. I know we were up 20, and then they stormed back, and that's what the beauty of basketball is. You can never let up. It's always time, and they were able to cut the lead. But in those moments, those are the moments which you have to just live for. We've been in those positions, and we've lost. So it was great to overcome that with my brother Jason and the rest of our team. That was special. I think this team has trusted me, especially in this playoffs, in those moments, to just be who I am, and I feel like I've been able to just deliver, just by being patient and being poised. Those opportunities have presented themselves, and I've been able to take advantage of them. But I give all my credit to my teammates for the trust they had in me, to have the ball in my hands, and to be able to make those plays.
We're not necessarily saying like one more or anything like that. We're just saying however long it takes. Nobody's relaxed. Nobody is satisfied. But, just at that moment, just told him I was proud of him, and he said the same thing, and that we got to keep fighting. We can't relax.
All right, Vinny, look, as a professional athlete, you have to say what Jason Tatum said. Hey, series is not over. We can't relax. These are professionals. They get paid. Great players over there, great coaches, blah, blah, blah. Right. But we're not professional athletes. One of us was close to being a professional athlete. It was close. Things just didn't work out the way I thought
What type of professional athlete were you going to be?
Listen, man. I stopped growing. I was, 5'9". I thought I'd be about 6'9", and I kind of stopped growing, man.
Okay, got you. You didn't pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
I'm only missing a foot. That's it, missing a foot. Anyway, those professional athletes say what they got to say, but we do our thing. So you said in your feed, you said the Celtics are oddly dominant. Question is, how dominant? Now, the Boston Globe, where I used to work happily for 10 years, the Boston Globe, before the series started, said the Celtics are 4 wins away from being one of the greatest teams ever, possibly the greatest team ever. And I said, I don't know about that. The greatest team ever? Are they even in the top? Right, exactly. We're on the same page. I went back, I was looking at the 5 best teams in Celtics history. Forget about the NBA history, Celtics history. And I said, okay, maybe they get in at number 5 or number 6, but I don't see them being the greatest team in NBA history. However, they are now on a 10-game winning streak in the postseason.
Yep. Yes, they are.
They won yesterday on the road. So now they are 7-0 on the road. They swept through the Eastern Conference Finals. They are very, 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 very close to sweeping through the NBA Finals. Lost 2 games at home. Okay, 2 home games to opponents that were not great. But if they finish this thing off, they'll finish with a 16-2 record, an 11-game winning streak, and an 8-0 record on the road. Yeah. I mean, how do you look at the Boston Celtics if they're able to pull those things off?
That's why I said oddly dominant in my feed, because they'll wind up with an 80-20 record, which would basically say that they're one of the best teams in NBA history by the numbers, by that. Even during the regular season, their net rating and some of those advanced metrics said that they were far and away the best team. Now, you can look at this, as I do, and say, hey, styles make fights. This is the perfect matchup for the Celtics. Not the Minnesota Timberwolves, not the Denver Nuggets, but these guys, right? Perfect matchup for them. Served on a silver platter, right?
Why? Tell us why. Tell us why it's a perfect matchup.
Because like I know, we talked about the Luka Doncic part, but they have the perimeter defenders to guard Luka and Kyrie and not have to worry about their lack of size being reasonably exposed. And I say size as in without Kristaps Porzingis, right? They don't have, there isn't some soul-sucking big down there that's going to really compromise your defense. Like, Boston is playing their way, and they're going to play their way. Now, they are a team that we still doubt, right? I doubted them before the series. I felt like, honestly, before the playoffs, they should get to the finals, but they won't. I was wrong on that one. I'm wrong on this. I will sit here before you today and fall on the sword of Boston, right? I will fall on the sword, Michael Holley. The Celtics are far and away the best team in this series. They've performed far and away like the best team in this postseason, right? It doesn't feel like they're dominant, but they're winning games. They haven't, like you said, they haven't lost a game since, I think, May 2nd, right? They haven't lost a game since game 2 of the second round against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, they've caught some breaks, right? You're playing teams without their superstars. You've played teams that are, largely shorthanded, but you play who's in front of you. And I think the general thing to me is this. They have the maturity that backs up those numbers. Now, I'm not a fool. I'm not sitting somewhere and saying, oh, they beat the '08 Celtics or they beat the 16 Warriors or 17 Warriors, anything like that. Like, no, heavens no. Like, that don't be crazy. You know what I mean? But once you're a champion, you don't have to apologize for anything.
That's right.
You shouldn't have to apologize for a damn thing. Like, the unfortunate part for me is this. Whenever the Celtics win a title, all the Celtics who win all of a sudden become superheroes, right? Have you noticed that?
Oh, yeah.
We got
I know.
Paul Pierce
Believe me. Yeah.
Paul Pierce everywhere. Rajon Rondo, Kevin Garnett's entertaining, but you get the extra Boston tax. And all of a sudden, if next year happens and they don't win a championship, it's going to be, man, if Kendrick Perkins, if he didn't go down in game 6, we never lost the playoff series. Man, I'm so nauseated with all of y'all.
Lying.
Right? I'm so nauseated early. I'm nauseated. I'm sick of y'all and ain't even started yet.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I know.
I really am.
Oh, I know that. Listen.
They're so good. But they're really, really good.
I feel it. There's so much, and I talked about this watch party. We're going to get to it. I noticed this last night. I'm sitting here in Boston thinking I'm among family and friends at this watch party because otherwise you invite people to your party. You're not going to invite people there for political reasons. It's not like I don't have to invite, I need to invite them. They're the neighbors, and so I got to invite the neighbors just in case it gets loud and they ain't going to call the cops on us. So I don't really want them there, but come on in. No, we invited people we wanted to hang out with. But as I sat there among family and friends, I was struck by how much Boston hatred there is. And it was just Boston hatred. Like so many people said, oh, I can't root for Boston. I'm like, what, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown? No, they're fine. They're fine. Just Boston. Oh, wait a minute. Then I start taking it personally. Vinny, you're not rooting against Boston. You're rooting against me. You're rooting against me. Because I've told you many times, this house behind me, right here, this place, was built by Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. I made my career in Boston. I feed my family because of Boston. And you're rooting against me and my family. But it didn't make them change their minds. That perspective didn't stop them. It was a whole avalanche of Boston hatred. And I understand what you mean because you're right. Like role players become stars in Boston. Hey, who's the Celtics TV analyst? It's Brian Scalabrine, who may have averaged like 3 points. He may have averaged 3 points a game as a Celtic. He gave a press conference after they won in 2008 kind of as a joke. He went up there. He was like, oh, I know you guys been waiting to talk to me, but he won a championship and he's a star in Boston. Cedric Maxwell won a finals MVP years ago, and he's a radio analyst in Boston because his numbers retired. People, when they traded Marcus Smart, people said, oh, wait, how can you trade Marcus Smart? He's the heart and soul of the Celtics. No, he's not. He's the heart and soul of the Celtics. We need to retire his number. No, we don't. This is what happens. You're right. This is what happens in Boston. Everybody is elevated, which is probably why one of the reasons.
That's why people hate. Like that's why people hate your team.
Yeah.
I'm not hating on the Celtics. Look. I don't want the Celtics to lose. I'm a journalist. I don't have rooting interest in such things. Okay.
Oh, come on.
So don't.
Sure you do.
Look, hold on. I'm going to give you a variation of that Rick Pitino speech, right? Larry Bird not walking through that door. Kevin McHale not walking through that door. Robert Parrish not walking through that door. Those are Celtics I hate. Because I feared them. You know what I mean? I feared them. So it's not, don't. These guys are, they're not offensive. You know what I mean? What does Jason Tatum say or do? Like he takes too many threes and, maybe he's maybe he's not as great as some people make him out to be, but that ain't his fault. You know what I mean? Jaylen Brown is okay with me. Jaylen Brown's a nice, intelligent brother that's grown his game, unapologetically black, all that type of stuff. He cool. I got no problem with that. So don't say that I'm rooting. They ain't Ohio State, right? They ain't Ohio State.
I knew that was coming. I think it may be time to change the subject. It may be time to change the subject. You know, now that we're all, I'll give you one more Boston. Since y'all hate Boston, I'll give you one more thing.
Look at this hate. Doesn't nobody hate Boston? Stop acting like you're the persecution
not the Celtics.
The complex.
Yeah, it is. I'm feeling very, very persecuted. But I'm also grateful because I told you the guy who built this house here, there was a ceremony for him. There was another Boston story last night. I just want to get to this really quickly. Another Boston story. Tom Brady, oh, what a shocker, had his number retired by the Patriots. It just cracks me up when teams do this. You know, Michael Jordan's in the Ring of Honor with the Bulls. He just got in the Ring of Honor. They had their first Ring of Honor. What took y'all so long? Oh, you mean to tell me Michael Jordan's in the Chicago Bulls Ring of Honor? Oh, my God, really? And Tom Brady, his number's going to be retired by the Patriots? Nobody's going to wear number 12 anymore? You mean to tell me somebody wanted to wear number 12? Anyway, in Dallas, the Celtics beat the Mavericks. Yet at Boston Garden, where the Celtics were not, there were 18,000 people at a watch party cheering on the Celtics who were not there. Now, they paid $18 to get into the building. They paid $5 for their beer, which makes it a pretty good bar in Boston. $5 a beer, that's not bad. Yeah. So that happened. Down the road, about 30 miles down the road at Gillette Stadium, 45 to 50,000 people are there celebrating Tom Brady. But the coolest thing of all, we had a watch party that was headquartered in Boston, had some New York, had some Connecticut, had some DC, had some, where else? Anybody else? Anybody forget anybody? We have folks from all over. We have folks from all over at the BFA watch party last night, and we've got some highlights. Check it out.
Another man of people.
What up?
I was up here dancing. I was doing the warm-up show and stuff like that. Hey, you know.
Welcome, Michael Holley, to your own watch party. I let the people know you are running on CP time per usual.
See why you have to take it there. Keep Michael Smith in your prayers and your thoughts.
In honor of Mike Smith, if you attended this watch party last year, I have my red cup.
Oh, the red cup.
Okay, so if you was here last year, if you know, you know. But salute to Mike Smith. He's in our thoughts and prayers, and I'm gonna take a little sip for him.
But they know your name, Mike. You famous, so
they know you as somebody's husband,
or somebody's. No, they always.
You gonna ignore that, Mike?
I always ignore the people like that. I don't do that. I'm so past that. My therapy is going well, Natalie. I am not going to allow you to take off the scabs and make me unhealed again. That is not being brought up. That is a part of my life that is in my past, and I'm not thinking about. I am Mike Hill. I am my own man. I didn't need no woman to make me who I am.
Connor, I don't know if you just overheard that. I'm sorry to your people, but tell them to stop touching my head.
I just want to defend myself. Like, it's not me. It was not me. It'll never be me. Like,
and here's the dude. This is the dude that touched your hair in the telly.
Yeah, right. He just bring me on. Like, and there he is. And it's like, whoa. That's the guy.
Kyrie is the epitome of sometime. I can't take a couple of good finishes over the last couple of weeks, especially when the last squad he was playing, it was Carl Anthony sometimes. I mean, come on. like there are sometimey players out there.
Will you agree that watching a game at Madison Square Garden, I'm saying this as
I hate that goddamn
Boston
arena.
resident.
I hate it.
What?
Whoa.
Natalie's from Long Island. This is what that's about.
Right.
She probably got season tickets to the UBS Arena.
Hey, a 10-0 run by the Mavs, though.
I see
10-0
it.
run by the Mavs. Everybody's still good?
I see
10-0
it.
run.
Hey, listen, they're doing
They
that
had
thing.
to call a timeout.
Hey, I live bet the Mavs when they was down 15. I'm going down with this ship.
Oh, good times all around. So first of all, thank you to everybody who showed up at the party, everybody who contributed, everybody. We had some folks who were there the entire time in the audience who stayed for the entire thing. And I thought, it's like a party. You kind of roll in, you roll out, you go talk to different people. There's some people there the entire time. And of course, Jason Johnson was there with his hot takes, but I think the hot take specialist last night was Mike Jones. Mike Jones, who was coming in with some Jason Tatum hatred, just saying he was like, he's all right. He's not, he's really not that good. Yeah, Mike Jones was bringing it, but a lot of folks had a lot of things to say last night, and most of them, some of them picked the Celtics, but didn't really want to. Had a lot of just conflicting emotions about going.
Is this the Boston persecution complex again? Is that
it's just reporting. Now I'm just reporting. I'm just reporting.
Okay.
Just like you report in your column that sometimes in Boston, people have done all sorts of things in Boston. They're very passionate. Sometimes people, dress up like ghosts of the past in Boston Garden. You just right? Are you simply just reporting?
That ghosts. Those ghosts show up every now and again.
You're just reporting, Vinny.
That's just reporting. That was not editorializing. That was merely reporting. That's all. So don't have people out here calling me the hard ER, calling me a baiter. You know what I mean? Like, no, we're not doing that here.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, and that came up last night. In all seriousness, that came up last night at the watch party, where some folks were just really, and everybody was like, "Hey, Vinny did his job. Vinny was doing the right thing. He's a respected national reporter. He's just asking a question." I think a lot of people were just surprised by Joe Mazzulla's response, and they weren't mad at him. They were just like, "What was that?" Any other context you think, like if you've had some time to think about the response, what do you think? I mean, like, what do you think a couple days later after the weirdness of Joe Mazzulla?
Man, I think everybody's identity is their own, and everybody's experience is largely their own, and they have to be willing to come to grips with that and express that. You know what I mean? That's not for me to put my experience on anyone else's. There is no one monolithic, quote unquote, black experience. You know what I mean? We don't all listen to the same music. We don't all dress the same. Like, no two people are the same. So I think in that case, it still was a bit thrown off, but I do think that, Michael Holley, we asked for authenticity, right? We asked for subjects that we cover, who we cover, to be their authentic and their true selves. And I think in that moment, Joe didn't have anything to say about the question. He didn't have anything to say about the feeling. Like, maybe he just didn't connect to it. Maybe he just didn't see it that way. And that's why, when you ask the question, you're like, hey, maybe it just doesn't land with you. You know what I mean? Yeah. And maybe perhaps it just didn't land with him. And that's a very personal thing. And people, like, in the comments of people who have been in my mentions and still in my mentions, the bot farms and all that type of stuff, or even the humans that have added Michael Holley. It was a couple people that were adding you and telling you, like, hey, you talk to Vinny, blah, blah, blah. Like, man, I don't beat it. It's all good.
Hey, beat it.
Clowns.
I'll just say this. For those who, if you identify with Joe Mazzulla, okay, and you say, hey, Joe Mazzulla, good for Joe for talking about, Christians. Christians, this is good. He's putting Christians on the national platform and international platform, and good for him. If you feel that way, and then you drop the ER to Vinny Goodwill, I need you to write me a report on what is your brand of Christianity. I just want to know what that is.
Not that ER.
Yeah.
Not that ER.
Yeah.
Baiter.
Okay. But I know the Baiter, but you had some ER, you had some hard ER people coming at you. You told me last time that some of those folks were showing up. I just want to know, like, how do you say this, but you say that too? Like, how?
Hey, I think it was Torrey Smith, wide receiver who played for the Ravens. He had commented on Twitter and said something. Now he was like, some of those Christians made it hard for black people to become coaches. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not one group in one lane, one group in another lane. And
that's good.
You know what I mean? Like, that's
good, Torrey.
Look, if Joe Mazzulla would have sat up there and said, I prefer to talk about Allah, now that's controversial. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That is controversial. If you're talking about being something other than Christian, which I feel like 63% of Americans are, or at least identify, ourselves as Christian, I don't see how that is like a rarity. So
no, it's not rare. No,
it's not rare at all.
It's not.
It's a fascinating topic, to say the least, right? Because nobody who wants to talk religion when we're talking about something not racial? Because whenever you say the word black, all of a sudden you're race baiting and everything else, and you're offending folks. Right. I'm like, damn, right. I didn't realize that the religious right and the far right were going to, unite like Captain Planet. You know what I mean? And go full in just because I said the word black. It was like the word black is offensive. And I just want anybody to know that because you are black, it doesn't mean you're less than. Like, maybe society says that, but
that's a word.
Being black, acknowledging it, being proud of it as part of your heritage, as part of your blood, it does not mean you are less than. You are just as
somebody
worthy.
Need to hear it.
You are worthy. You are not unworthy, unclean. And don't they say in the Bible, unclean?
That's right.
Don't they say that in the good book?
They did. They said about the lepers, unclean. The lepers used to have to say that, walk around, unclean. Anyway, don't let me start teaching here. Don't let me start teaching and preaching. I do want to ask you this before we get going, and I saved this for last, not because it's least important, but I saved it for last because I want us to spend some time on it, and I know you, and with your respect and love for the NBA, not only the NBA that we see now, but the history of the league. I know you have some thoughts on Jerry West. Last time we talked, we didn't know. We didn't know that. I think maybe we had just finished recording, or maybe it's like in the off day. Jerry West passed, 86 years old, and we know Jerry West. We know many things about Jerry West. We know the real Jerry West. We know the Hollywood portrayals of Jerry West. And we also know the silhouette of Jerry West. That's the NBA logo. And apparently that was one thing he was very proud of, is that the logo shows him driving with his left hand. When he first started balling, he felt like that was his weakness, his ability to drive with his left hand. So what an acknowledgement from the league. We're going to put you in the logo, and there you are driving left. What was once a weakness became a strength. There weren't a lot of weaknesses in Jerry West's game, if any weaknesses at all. I'm talking about as a player and as an executive. What are your thoughts on Jerry West and the life and career that he had?
Man, so many. It's not just the logo. Like, I think it's one of those things that because that becomes a brand, you forget that there's a man and a player behind that. You know what I mean? Like, he led the league in scoring once, and then 2 years later led the league in assists. Like, this is a bad dude that we were talking about. It wasn't just some random. It wasn't like we just talking about a fan favorite. Like, this was the dude. And it was so amazing, like, to talk to Hall of Famers yesterday, you know, both on and off the record, and they're talking about, you know, their experiences with Jerry West and how he had his hand in so many dynasties, right? The Lakers Showtime dynasty, the Golden State dynasty, what the Clippers were trying to do, even that stint in Memphis and bringing Shaq and Kobe together. Like, he has influenced winning on so many different levels, even though his playing career was largely defined by losing to the Celtics 8 times in the NBA Finals. And all of those guys over there, the Russells and the Havliceks and all of them, having so much respect and admiration because they knew how hard he worked at it. They knew how tortured he was. You know what I mean? And it's sad. I will say this. It saddens me when someone like Jerry West isn't a Laker for life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
That like Larry Bird, we're going to honor the Boston Celtics when they win a championship, and rightly so. Larry Bird is a Boston Celtic. He shouldn't be in Indiana. Jerry West is a Los Angeles Laker. And at one point, they revoked his season tickets that he was supposed to have for the rest of his life. And they came up with some paltry 2-second statement that looked like AI wrote it. Like, this was arguably the most seminal figure in your franchise history. His blood is on so many banners in one way, shape, or form. He helped create everything that we know to be about the Lakers franchise. And that's the equivalent of them firing you on your 20th anniversary. You know what I mean? Like, I just felt like the Lakers should be so much better than that for the most important figure in their franchise and arguably one of the 5 most important figures in NBA history.
No question, Vinny. No question. I mean, you think about his career. So, great college player at West Virginia. You know, gets to the national championship, doesn't win it. And I wish I had been alive just to witness this, just to see this. 1960 gold medal winning U.S. basketball team. You got Jerry West and Oscar Robertson in the same backcourt. Lord have mercy. I wish I could have seen that. And as you pointed out, he kept running into the dynastic Celtics. He kept running into them, and they never beat the Celtics. He never was able to get by the Celtics. And I wonder how he felt about winning. It was the first year, the Finals MVP, 1969, the first year of it. He wins the MVP as the player on the losing team. And so I always heard that stat, and I think I told you this last summer, and my wife must say, hey, you know what? This is the kind of stuff you do when we should be going to the beach. We should be going out to dinner. You're going on YouTube. You're going on YouTube. You're going on YouTube and watching NBA championships through the years. So I went back and said, you know, I want to watch that. I want to watch Game 6 and Game 7. This is Bill Russell's last year in the league. So I watched that Game 7. I said, how does a dude who loses the championship win Finals MVP? I get it now. Oh, I get it. Okay, I watched it. If you never watched Jerry West play, even in a losing effort, it was a sight to see. And one of my favorite stats, bring that graphic back up of Jerry West, of all of the accomplishments and all the scoring. I think everybody thinks about the scoring, but if you bring that graphic up and you see right there, 5-time all defense. Like, he was rugged. He was a rugged dude. He was intense. He was intense as a player, and he was intense as an executive as well. Look,
there's something to be said. There's something to be said, Michael. I don't want to stop you.
Go ahead.
He's probably the best player who's never won MVP, like regular season MVP, right? And he's also a guy up until that JJ Redick spat last year when JJ said all those players were plumbers and firemen. Jerry West was never one of these. Right. He was never one of these bitter old dudes who hated the way that the game was played today, who lamented all that. He loved on this generation of players. He loved on the Kobe Bryants and the LeBron Jameses and all those guys. He was so warm to them. And even if he had bitterness about his own career, he never let it seep out into his interactions or his appreciation for the evolution of the game.
Yeah, that's. I'm glad you made that point, because a lot of guys aren't like that. They just kind of cling to their eras, and because of that, they can never really adapt to what's happening in front of them. I will never underestimate the difficulty, the degree of difficulty for Jerry West to build those 3 separate dynasties in 3 distinct eras of NBA history. The 80s Lakers were nothing like the Shaq and Kobe Lakers. The Shaq and Kobe Lakers were nothing like the Warriors. So to be able to do that, you've got to have some flexibility. You got to have the wherewithal and just the awareness to say, okay, this is what, it didn't always have to be what the game was in my day. Okay, when I played, yeah, this thing was going on, but it's not like that anymore. I'm able to look at a basketball player in this current context and tell this franchise, this is what you're getting. A lot of people, some people did, but a lot of people didn't know that Kobe was on that trajectory. As a matter of fact, I remember still, like it was yesterday, I don't know why I remember this line from Bill Conlon, different story for a different day, but Bill Conlon from the Philadelphia Daily News writing about Kobe. When Kobe said, hey, I'm going to go from high school to the pros, Bill Conlon writes, I covered your dad. And I heard a lot of people say that. I covered your dad. Go to college, kid. It was like, very dismissive of.
That hurts.
Go to college, kid. And so Kobe, it was no guarantee that Kobe Bryant at that time, 1996, was going to be even a good player. I mean, he had all the hype.
He was a skinny high schooler.
Had charisma and all that. Jerry West saw it. John Calipari claims that he was going to do it with the Nets. I think the Nets had like the 8th or 9th pick that year.
8th pick. They had the 8th pick.
They had the 8th pick. He said he wanted to draft Kobe. Instead, he drafted Kerry Kittles. So, yeah. So, but Jerry West saw, hey, Kobe Bryant with Shaq, and see what happens. And we saw what happened. It was incredible. Look, last thing I'll say on it, and then we'll get out of here, is when you see somebody died 86 years old, you say, yeah, they're 86. I mean, time is not promised to anybody.
He had a good run.
86,
right.
Had a good run. But it's just one of those people you allow yourself to think, ageless, will always be around, and you're still surprised. You're still surprised and still saddened despite the great run. So props to Jerry West. And I'm glad we were able to see some of the evidence that Jerry West and some of the flowers that Jerry West planted. All right, Vinny, always good to see you.
We're losing institutional knowledge, little by little.
Yes, we are.
We're losing Bill Russell, Bill Walton, Jerry West. We are losing. Luckily, Kareem is still here. Luckily, Julius Erving is still here. But we're losing institutional knowledge, institutional pillars that should be respected, and they should be adored, and they should be honored.
Cherished, no question. Vinny, good to see you, man. Safe travels, I think, Saturday. I think you're not going.
I'm not coming back to Boston.
No, you're not. No, you're going to the Midwest. You're going to the Midwest. You're not going to the East Coast. But enjoy yourself. Enjoy Game 4 in Dallas. That's it.
Might be a short one.
That's it. Then the NBA Finals. Then I think we say goodbye to the NBA Finals. Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.